Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into a 2025 market report. Our focus, it's pretty specific, N-methyl-2-pyrrolidone.
NMP, yeah. It's a chemical compound, a real workhorse solvent, actually, that pops up in, well, a surprising number of industries. Kind of an unsung hero in manufacturing.
Okay, so our mission here is to really unpack this report for you. We want to pull out the absolute must-knows, market size, growth areas, what's driving it all. The goal is for you to get a quick, clear handle on the NMP landscape and maybe spot some opportunities.
And the report gives us a pretty good time frame. It uses 2024 as the base year, looks back historically from 2021, and projects forward right out to 2033.
So let's jump right in. Global market size and growth, what are we looking at?
Okay, the numbers are pretty striking. For 2025, the report estimates the global market at USD 972.86 million.
Almost $1 billion.
Exactly. And looking ahead to 2033, it's projected to grow quite significantly, reaching USD 23,748.028 million.
Wow, okay, so that's what, nearly double?
Pretty much. It translates to a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR of 7.60% between 2025 and 2033. So steady, strong growth.
Now, I did see a number in there for 2024, the base year, listed as just $1.1 million. That seems, well, incredibly low compared to almost $1 billion just 1 year later in 2025. Seems like a possible typo, maybe?
Yeah, that 1.1 million figure for 2024 does look like an outlier, maybe a data entry issue or something specific in how it was calculated for that single year. It's hard to reconcile with the 2025 figure.
Right, but focusing on that 2025 number and the projection, the trend is undeniably upwards. A jump to nearly $1 billion signals a really dynamic market.
Absolutely. Forget the potential blip. The overall trajectory is clear.
Yeah.
This market is moving.
So where is this activity concentrated? Let's look at the regions. North America seems to be leading the pack.
It is, yeah. Holds the largest share currently, over 40% of the global market. We're talking about USD 272.40 million estimated for 2025.
And its growth.
Projected at a CGR of 6.1% through 2033. Steady. The U.S. is the powerhouse within that, naturally, making up about USD 214.92 million in 2025, growing at around 5.9%.
Okay, and Canada and Mexico are part of that too.
They are. Canada around 32.69 million, Mexico near 24.79 million for 2025, both actually showing slightly higher CGRs than the U.S., closer to 7%.
What gives North America that edge, do you think? Why such a large share?
Well, think about their established industries. Strong pharmaceutical sector, major electronics manufacturing. Both are heavy users of NMP, so it kind of makes sense they have a big slice of the pie.
Okay, moving across the pond to Europe, what's the story there?
Europe's significant too. Over 30% market share. That's about USD 233.49 million in 2025, with a projected growth rate, a CAGR of 6.4%.
So slightly faster growth than North America overall.
Seems like it, yeah. And you've got key players like the UK, Germany, and Russia all holding substantial market presence. The UK around 39 million, Germany 46 million, Russia 36 million in 2025.
And their growth rates vary a bit.
They do. UK showing a slightly higher TGR at 7.2%, Germany 6.6%, Russia a bit lower at 5.4%.
Right.
Probably reflects the different industrial mixes and economic situations in each country.
Right. Now, Asia-Pacific APAC. This sounds like where the real action is, growth-wise.
Oh, absolutely. While its current share is around 23%, roughly USD 358.01 million for 2025, its projected CAGR is the highest by far, 9.1%.
9.1%. That's impressive. China must be a big part of that.
Huge. China alone accounts for about USD 150.37 million in 2025, growing at a strong 8.6%. But look at India's smaller market size, around 35.8 million, but its projected CAGR is a staggering 11.0%.
11%. Wow. What's fueling that massive expansion in APAC?
It's really the rapid industrialization, isn't it? Booming electronics manufacturing, the automotive sector surge, especially with EVs. It all demands materials like NMP. China's massive scale gives it the lead volume-wise, but India's higher growth rate suggests it's catching up fast, maybe developing its manufacturing base even more rapidly now.
Okay, let's quickly touch on the other regions. South America.
South America holds over 5% of the market, around USD 36.97 million in 2025. And it has a really robust projected CAGR, too, 8.6%.
So growing faster than North America and Europe.
Definitely. And interestingly, Argentina is predicted to have the fastest growth within the region, about 9.5%. Brazil's the largest market there, around 15.8 million, growing at 9.2%.
Any thoughts on what's driving that South American growth?
Well, increasing industrial activity generally, for sure. Agrochemicals could be a factor, but also, the region has significant lithium reserves, right? So the
Yeah.
growth in lithium-ion battery production, even domestically, could be a major contributor.
Makes sense. And the Middle East and Africa. Smaller shares, I assume.
Much smaller, yeah. Middle East is around 2%, Africa about 1%,
Yeah.
but the growth rates are pretty solid too. Middle East projected at 8.9% CAGR, Africa at 8.0%.
What industries are key there?
For the Middle East, probably the large petrochemical sector is a key consumer. Saudi Arabia and the UAE show strong KGRs over 9%.
Mm.
In Africa, it might be tied more to general industrial expansion, maybe mining, some pharma growing from a lower base. South Africa is the notable market there.
Okay, gives us a good global map. Let's switch gears and talk about the NMP itself. The report breaks it down by purity. 99.9% purity is expected to dominate.
That's right, ultra-high purity. And that's really driven by the demands of specific industries, like pharmaceuticals, definitely,
Yeah.
manufacturing lithium-ion batteries, absolutely critical there, and semiconductors. These applications just can't tolerate impurities. Even tiny amounts can mess things up significantly.
So the growth in things like EVs and high-end electronics is directly pulling demand for the super pure NMP.
Exactly. Performance and reliability are paramount in those sectors.
But interestingly, the report says the fastest growing segment is actually the 99.5% purity grade. Why would that be?
Ah, well, for a lot of other industrial jobs, you don't necessarily need that absolute top-tier purity. Think about things like paint stripping, industrial coatings, maybe some petrochemical processes.
Less sensitive applications?
Right. And the 99.5% grade offers a really good balance. It performs well enough for those tasks, but it's likely more cost-effective than the ultra-pure stuff. So its fast growth suggests these more general industrial uses are really expanding quite broadly.
Okay, another breakdown is type recycled versus fresh NMP. Recycled holds the largest share. That's quite interesting.
It is, isn't it? It really speaks volumes about the push towards sustainability and circular economy principles. Environmental regulations are tightening, companies are looking for cost savings, and NMP recycling technology has likely improved.
So industries like pharma and battery manufacturing are actively using recycled NMP.
Seems so. They're major users. And if they're opting for recycled, it shows a significant commitment to those greener practices.
Yet the fresh NMP segment is also growing rapidly. Why the need for new production if recycling is so prevalent?
Well, a couple of reasons probably. First, overall demand is just growing so fast, recycling might not be able to keep up entirely. Second, some applications, especially in cutting-edge electronics or maybe specific battery chemistries for EVs, might still demand the absolute guaranteed quality and consistency you get from fresh, virgin NMP. Reliability is key.
Okay, let's look at where it's being used, the applications. Pharmaceutical solvents have the biggest share currently.
Yes, that makes sense. NMP is just incredibly good at dissolving a wide range of things, which is vital when you're formulating drugs, working with active pharmaceutical ingredients, the APIs, developing delivery systems. It's a fundamental tool in the pharma toolkit.
But again, the rapidly expanding segment is battery solvents. No surprise there, given everything else we've discussed.
Absolutely tied to the lithium-ion battery boom. EVs, consumer electronics, grid storage, they all need these batteries.
What exactly does NMP do in a battery?
It's crucial in making the electrodes. It acts as a solvent for the binder material that holds the active particles onto the electrode foil. Getting that dispersion perfectly uniform is critical for the battery's performance, how much energy it holds, how fast it charges, how long it lasts.
And beyond those two big ones, pharma and batteries, there are other uses.
Oh yeah, quite a few. The report mentions cleaning electronics parts, metal cleaning, chemical extraction processes. It's used as a solvent for certain resins, in paints as a coalescing agent, and even in formulating some agrochemicals.
So it really is versatile stuff.
It truly is. That wide applicability across different processes explains why the overall market is so substantial.
All right, last segmentation point. End-use industries. Electronics takes the top spot.
Yes, largest share currently. And that's driven by everything from semiconductor manufacturing to producing those lithium-ion batteries we keep mentioning, plus cleaning circuit boards and components. Think consumer gadgets, EVs again, renewable energy storage systems. It's all electronics heavy.
And the automotive sector is tagged as rapidly expanding as an end user.
Directly linked to the EV surge. A huge chunk of automotive NMP demand is for making EV batteries. But it's also used in things like specialized coatings for automotive parts. So the EV boom is hitting NMP demand from multiple angles within the auto industry.
The report also lists other end uses like paints and coatings, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, agrochemicals, reflecting those applications we talked about.
Exactly. It all ties together.
So if we summarize the market drivers, it really boils down to that rising demand in pharma, the huge expansion in electronics, and the accelerating growth in the automotive industry, particularly EVs.
Those are the big engines pushing the NMP market forward, absolutely. They highlight just how central NMP is to these major global trends.
But it's not all smooth sailing. There are restraints mentioned, like environmental and health concerns.
Right. NMP isn't without its issues. There are concerns about its potential health effects and environmental impact, which leads to stricter regulations and pushes research into safer alternatives or better containment and recycling methods.
And fluctuating raw material prices are also a factor.
Always a challenge for chemical manufacturing. The cost of the basic ingredients needed to make NMP can go up and down, and that impacts profitability and final market prices. It adds an element of unpredictability.
And finally, trends. The report points to rising demand from agriculture and growing use in petrochemical processing.
Yeah, suggesting the uses for NMP might still be broadening out. Finding new niches or expanding in existing ones like petrochemicals shows it's still an evolving market.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, this deep dive really shows the NMP market is set for some serious growth, doesn't it? Primarily powered by EVs and electronics.
Definitely. And APAC is clearly the region to watch for the most dynamic expansion.
We also see this interesting split, with different purities for different jobs and this tension between using recycled NMP for sustainability and needing fresh NMP for peak performance in some critical areas.
It's a nuanced picture, absolutely. Not just one monolithic market, but different segments responding to different pressures and opportunities.
So for you listening, the key takeaway is this. NMP is a really critical material behind some major global shifts, especially in transportation and technology. Its growth trajectory looks strong, touching a lot of different industries.
Right. If any of those sectors, electronics, automotive, pharma, even chemicals or agrochemicals, are relevant to you,
Yeah.
understanding the NMP market dynamics could be pretty valuable.
Which brings us to a final thought to leave you with. We've got this interesting dynamic. Environmental concerns potentially acting as a brake on NMP use, while the EV market, which needs NMP for batteries, is a massive accelerator. How do you see that playing out?
That's the big question, isn't it? Will innovation in recycling become so good it eases the environmental pressure? Or will genuinely effective, scalable alternative solvents emerge and start to displace NMP in key applications like batteries? It's a real tension to watch.
And are there other, maybe less obvious sectors that could suddenly become major NMP consumers down the line? We saw mentions of agriculture and petrochemicals as growing trends.
Exactly. It makes you wonder what other applications might be bubbling under the surface. It's certainly worth keeping an eye on the competitive landscape and maybe digging deeper into the specific drivers affecting your particular area of interest.